In today's video, we're going to learn about init.py and what it does in Python. Now, before we begin, I'd just like to thank Zed for sponsoring this video. Zed is a lightning-fast code editor written in Rust, and I've been using it to do all my coding for a while now. If you feel like trying out Zed, I've left a link in the description box down below where you can download it for free. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So, you might have seen init.py around in Python, but what does it actually do? Well, to keep it short and sweet, init.py is used to mark any regular folder as a package. So, let's create a new folder, and we're going to call this food package. As it stands, it's just a regular directory. It's not considered a package by Python just yet. To mark it as a package, we're going to have to include init.py. Now food package is considered a package. And this isn't just a naming convention. This actually turns it into a package that Python recognizes. Every time we import this package, init.py runs automatically, which is perfect for any initialization logic. For this example, we can print that we are initializing the package. Then inside the food package, we're going to define a couple of modules. And the first one will be fruit.py, and the next one will be sushi.py. Since this is a food package, it will contain lots of different foods and functionality that belongs to each food. For the sushi, we will have rice, seaweed, and fish. This is the functionality associated with the sushi module. And for the fruits, we will have apple, banana, and orange, which is the functionality associated with the fruit module. Now to use these modules, all we have to do is import from food package whatever module we want to use, such as fruits or sushi. And here we can type in fruits, apple, and sushi, rice. And when we run this, what you should notice is that the package was initialized, and that we were able to use the functionality from both of these modules. Another thing I want to show you is how to use the star imports with your package. To do this, we need to go back to init.py, and here we're going to define all, which in this case, we want to include fruits and sushi. But this will not work on its own. We need to tell Python where we're getting this from. So at the top, we're going to use from dot, which searches the current directory, imports fruits and sushi. Now Python knows exactly what I'm referring to, which means if we go back to main.py, the next time we use the star import, it will be able to find both of those modules. And when we run this, we'll be able to use it. Personally, I don't recommend using star imports in practically any situation, but it's always good to know about what you can do in Python. It's also worth mentioning that if you were to exclude any module in all, the module you choose to exclude will not be included in the star import. And that's really nice if you want to make sure that only certain functionality gets imported when some fool uses the star import syntax. Now there's one last thing I want to show you before we conclude this video, and that's how we can simplify imports in init.py. Because suppose you have a nested folder, and inside that nested folder you have another nested folder, and inside that another one, and at the bottom you have something called pizza.py. Pizza.py will contain 3 types of pizzas. Right now, as it stands, if we want to refer to pizza.py, we need to type from foodpackage.a.b.c imports pizza. And the fact that we have to refer to 3 folders just to reach the pizza functionality can be quite annoying. I mean, in this case, we have the best possible case scenario, which is made up, where all the folder names are single letters. I don't know how this would look in documentation, but this is just not realistic. But pretend you have some module that is nested very deeply into a package. One thing that would be quite nice is to make it much more accessible to whoever is using this package so that they would only have to type in from food package import pizza. To do this, we need to go back to init.py, and here we can type in from.a.b.c import pizza. And this will create an alias that we can use directly. As you can see, this time in main.py, we can reference pizza directly and use the functionality. It was that simple. And your code editor is probably going to complain about these unused imports, so to suppress that, you can choose to include it here in all. Then your code editor will be happy. And now if we go to main.py, we can use all of this functionality using the regular package syntax. For example, from food package.sushi, we can import rice, seaweed, and fish. Or once again, from food package, we can import pizza directly. Then we can use the functionality associated with both of these modules. For sushi, we can just call the functionality directly, since we imported it. And when we run this code, you'll see that we successfully were able to use all of this functionality. So yeah, simply put, that's what the init.py file does in Python. And you can add much more logic here if it requires it. You're not required to write that you are initializing a package. You're not required to do anything here. But if you want to create a package, it's important that you include the init.py file in the folder, just so Python knows that this should be treated as a package. And one more thing, this morning I was debugging like an idiot because I forgot to add the double underscores. So I was wondering why this wasn't working. If you exclude the double underscores, this file will not be treated as the init.py file. So remember to include the double underscores.